They are poor. No rich person, no powerful person stays in jail. It's only the poor who languish. I sent a letter, perfectly, the Chief Justice converted it to a PIL. They released some people, but this is no solution. In very simple terms, I'm a very simple person. I'm not a lawyer. And therefore I can think very simply. What comes must go. Pendency people talk of, and this is the worry. I've seen quasi-judicial functions of various kinds, commissions of various kinds, excellent laws we've had, and we've allowed all of these to go under the carpet because of pendency. The information commissions are going, what comes in has to get out. It's extremely simple. And let's look at, to me the ideal is a story I had heard when I was a little child of Emperor Jahangir. It's a story perhaps some of you would have heard. The story goes that he is arrogant as to believe that people will wait for 5 years and 10 years. One of the problems, and it's a problem we normally don't talk of, but I think it's important when we want to look at the whole judicial process. Our fundamental problem starts with investigation. Our investigations have no timelines. Absolutely. As an information commissioner, I see scores of cases like this. An investigation would have started, it will continue for 5 years, 10 years. It becomes a completely meaningless exercise. Everybody understands, all proofs disappear. And here I want to give a very small, extremely small personal example of an experience I had in Mumbai before I went there. I witnessed a car theft and I saw the thief. The police asked me if I would give witness. I said yes. So I gave a statement, etc. They wrote down, took my... In fact, the police asked me to give a false statement, saying, yeah, aisa ho gaya tha. I said, no, I will not give a false statement. I will give a statement of exactly... They said, sir, ye court mein kuch hoga nahi. I said, I'm sorry, but I cannot give a false statement. I forgot all about it. 4 years later, I received a summons at my house, worded in the most impolite, uncivil language you can imagine. Those of you who have seen a court summons will realize what I'm talking about. It says, you shall come on sunset day at sunset time. You shall not leave without the permission. If you leave, मैं तुमको ऐसी वैसी वैसी कर दूंगा. Effectively, that's the language. That's the whole wording of a language. Of a witness being called to a court. I was angry. I did not go to the court next day. I sent a person with a letter saying, I will not come before your court if you address me in such uncivil language. The magistrate must have been a very sweet chap. He called me up. He said, Mr. Gandhi, this language is not framed just for you. We send it to everybody. And I remember telling him, sir, then I have a greater problem. Because you're not only insulting Shailesh Gandhi, you have a method for insulting all citizens of this country. And I'm urging, it's not just this, I'm urging that the courts must start thinking in terms of dropping that level of arrogance. Unless we drop that level of arrogance, I don't think changes will come about. That's the basic plea I'm making. But also, I asked myself, and that was part of the other reason why I didn't go, after 4 years, I could not remember the face of the thief. I'd seen that thief for 5 or 10 minutes, 4 years back. And if that same person was brought before me, I would not even be able to recognize him or even describe in detail what happened. But this is what tells us that investigation delays are a major problem. And I would urge and say that it is necessary that we decide that all investigation must be finished 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. Give that a time limit. And if you don't finish, let's forget the investigation. We are wasting too much people's money by pursuing investigations which never come to anything. Another classic I remember is after the Bombay blasts in '93. Around the same time, I think on the same week, there was a bomb blast in the World Trade Center at that time. It was not a very big one, but it was a bomb blast. I think some people had got killed. 2 years later, it's a sight I'll never forget. In the first page of Times of India, there was a report which said that the perpetrators of the bomb blasts in the World Trade Center had been sentenced to whatever life imprisonment. And there was a big photograph, again on the center front page, of a policeman, a police havaldar, pulling a huge sack of documents, and they said the Bombay police had created a Guinness World Record in terms of so many tons of paper for the investigation of the Bombay blast. We were still investigating. Whereas in the world they had already, because please understand, if you delay things, it is irrelevant. There is no purpose. Delayed justice is not justice denied, it is no justice. Period. And I have wondered often, the Supreme Court is willing to interfere in just about anything and everything. Whether there should be less pollution, more pollution, whether the way the traffic should move, and so on and so forth. I would have thought it's not impossible if the Supreme Court were to decide and say, we need this resource, if the government does not provide it, I will hold you guilty of contempt of court. Let's take a position. Let's take a position, it's doable. It's not impossible. Because I still remember feeling ashamed when Justice Kirpal, after having been the Chief Justice of this country, in 3 months after he retired, filed an affidavit in the New York court saying that justice cannot be obtained in India in any reasonable time, and therefore the New York court should hold a particular matter rather than a court in India. That is what happened to the Chief Justice of this country, making a statement of this nature. I think let's wake up now. Let's demand. Investigations and court judgments must be finished in a certain time. Nobody should be, at least 95% of the cases should not be adjourned. Whatever is listed on the board, as Justice Hosmet said, will be heard on that day. And adjournments must be the rarest of case. We may not do perfect justice. There is nothing like perfect justice in the world. This is a complete hogwash. There is only good justice. There is only deliverable justice. And therefore, I would urge all of you, and if you don't wake up, the Date Bardas, even if you believe that, oh, well, what will happen? Kuch nahi hoga. Chalne do. Humko koi fark nahi padta. The Date Bardas of the country will expand. 10 to 20 years down the line, perhaps, it's a scenario that gives me no pleasure to describe, but perhaps the disempowered will not let you walk in Mumbai or in Delhi. You will have to carry 2 bodyguards around with you if you don't want somebody to stick you up and say, de do tumhari jeb mein jo hai. So the day is not far off. We have it in our hands as civil society, as you had said, to change the course of things, and it's not difficult. It's in your hand. Thank you.